your knowledge base is improving, you feel benefited from this FDP. There are very good speakers going to be coming. I think before beginning the session, as usual, we can have the audio check from the presenter side.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. We can have an audio check first. And then
Yes,
I will introduce you the very short way, and then we can start the session, right?
Okay, sir.
I have launched the poll. Please participate in that. This FDP, there are a lot of sessions from other faculties, from IITs and NITs. Day 3 is up to 5:30. Today 4 sessions, marathon sessions are there. But be patient because very good sessions are there. And tomorrow also we have the faculty from IIT Bombay, Professor Shantanu Bandyopadhyay, and one of the NIFT, NIFT, who is talking about the garment industry. Participate in this FDP. Please participate in this poll. I think 62 people have voted up till now, and all are saying that yes, please, I will close this poll within 30 seconds. Be fast. Be fast. 70% people voted. 70% people are voted in this. Remaining, please participate in this vote so that we can able to get the idea whether the sound is audible or not. Okay, within 5 seconds, I'm going to close it. Be fast. Hello, Maiti sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
हाँ, good morning. कैमरा आपका विजिबल नहीं आ रहा है. Good. Yeah. Dr. Maiti is Assistant Director at Man-Made Textile Research Association, Surat. This Man-Made Textile Associations looking after the Surat industry, like that total, I think 9 Ateras are there, right, sir, in India?
10, sir. Sorry,
Achha, 8. So
yes, sir.
under the Ministry of Textile, there are 8 textile research associations. Out of that, one of them is at Surat, and its name is Mantra, Man-Made Textile Research Association. Through that, they are having various activities. He before joining over here, he completed his PhD in the textile itself from IIT Delhi, and I think he was involved in this FDP faculty development program, starting thought process itself. So he knows all things, and we have got very good cooperation from this mantra, including other faculties and especially Maiti sir also. Most of the speakers he only approached and selected for this FDP. He's having an in-depth knowledge about the textile industry, basically the processing part. With this brief introduction, I request Dr. Maiti sir to start his session. Dr. Maiti sir.
Sir, good morning. Good morning to all the audience, as well as Bade sir, Kallankar sir, and Sanjay sir. So coming to the presentation. My screen is not showing. Yes. Today is the third day, and that lecture is at odd time, but somehow we are managed to get the audience, and so start with the session, that is machineries used in textile processing and as well as energy recovery. But I have removed that part, energy recovery, because this part will be covered in subsequent session by Mr. Parikh, that is at 2 o'clock. Okay. So coming to this session, actually this we have seen that from fiber to fabric, fabric has been covered, and yesterday evening session we have covered the dyeing part, that is textile processing. So coming to the machinery part. Okay. Before coming to that, just I will very brief on sustainability. If you see that slide, we are getting the raw material in any kind of process. We are getting the raw material from the environment itself. Either it is in the form of natural fiber or in the form of synthetic fiber, that is man-made. That is also come from environment called petroleum product, and that is converted into polymer, from polymer to fiber, fiber to yarn, yarn to fabric. So like that we are getting. Now after getting the raw material, we have the manufacturing process, then distribution or logistics, then consumer will use the product, and finally it goes to the environment after disposal. So everything comes from the environment. In between we have process and use, then it goes to the environment. Now if the product, whatever we are getting from the environment and whatever we are leaving to the environment, the chemical nature of the product is changed, and it may harm to the environment. It may not be actually disposal. That means it may not be degraded to the environment, so it may remain in the environment, so it will damage the environment. Okay. And in between manufacturing process, if we are creating pollution, say in terms of noise pollution, in terms of environment pollution, in terms of creating very bad sound, in terms of creating some other carcinogenic and toxic chemicals, so all these things will create the pollution. Ultimately it will increase the greenhouse kind of things. So many things can be happen. So what I'll concentrate on this manufacturing process, and that is only the machinery part. Okay. So if we say that sustainable approach, that is minimum use of resources, whatever we are getting from the nature, that is water, energy, like electrical energy, thermal energy, like that, then whatever the colorants we are using, so that should be 100% consumed. Otherwise, if something is left, then it will create another problem to the environment. Then minimum chemical consumption. So whatever the chemicals we should use, that should be minimum, otherwise something will be left out and it again goes to the environment in terms of effluent. Okay, then minimum pollution load. Already if we reduce all this, reduce the consumption, then obviously pollution load will be decreased. Now toxic chemicals. So these are some certain issue I'll discuss later. Then harmful chemicals, that also we'll discuss in the next slide. See, if we see the health hazardous kind of things, then there are banned amines, azodyes, formaldehyde, liquid metals, heavy metals, pollution, etc. That should be reduced. And if we see in terms of social responsibility, then safe working environment and safe work practice, minimum wages has to be given to the workers. Then working hours should be reasonable so that they can maintain good health and hygiene. Then they have to give some kind of holidays for holidays kind of thing. So many things are there, so that has to be provided. Then we have to produce less amount of carbon dioxide, and we have to use less amount of water. Okay, so all these things will be covered in the next lecture. And what are the consequences for the processing? So if these are the very least data, if I like that, so we are using 5.8 trillion liters of water per annum. So, and from that water, so it's a huge amount of water. 3.7 billion swimming pools can be made out of that, and 10 to 20% dyes, what we are the dyes for dyes, that is colorant, we are used for the textile industry. So that 10 to 20% it is remaining. So it remaining means it goes to the environment, and this is also creating very pollution. And 391 billion kilowatt hour energy is required for the dyeing process. So that is a huge amount of energy. So water remaining dye, that will create the color to the environmental water. So all these things we are using. So in the process we have to reduce consumption of water, reduce the consumption of dyes, and reduce the consumption of energy. So all these things are the thrust area where we can do the research. So before doing the research, if we see what are the processes actually going on. Okay, so what I will discuss, that is that color textile machineries, what is used for the dyeing purpose. Dyeing means that application of the colorants to the textile fiber, fabrics or garments. So these are the 8 ways we can apply dyes to the fabric. So see what are the 8 ways in the pictorial form. First thing is that we have seen that fiber is made out of polymer. Okay, so now we after polymerization we are getting the fiber by spinning process, and that fiber is white in color. Okay, now if we use some kind of colorant, that is called master batch, in the polymer itself during the melt spinning or wet spinning, so we will get the colored fiber. Okay, so that is clear, I think. So we are using colorant material to the polymer, so we are getting the directly the colored fiber. But for that there are some kind of limitation, because what color kind of color we are producing in the fiber, that may not be useful for other purpose, that may not be liked by others. So what we can do, we can make the fiber dyeing. So this is a white fiber what we are getting from either from nature or from this mass coloration, from melt spinning or wet spinning process. So that fiber can be dyed. Okay, and if we get the dyed fiber, we can make this type of fabric. So this type of colored fiber, So that is called melange. Actually, it gives the effect like this. Now we can do the yarn dyeing. Yarn dyeing, suppose you have seen that sometimes we are using checks fabrics or tribes fabrics for our garments. So for that we need particular type of particular color of yarn, so that we can make the pattern in the weaving process. So from the yarn we can get the fiber yarn dyed, then we can get the checks or tribes fabric. And in the last category, if we are having fabric that is white in color, so that may be dyed into solid dye, or we can get from that white fabric to the printed fabric that is multicolored printed. Printing is called localized dyeing process. So in the total fabric, there are very small area where we have the particular color in a particular design according to our choice. So what we can see from this slide, that from the granules we can get the colored fiber. From white fiber we can get the white colored yarn, colored fiber. From that we can make the colored but very good effect textured yarn. From the white yarn we can get the colored yarn, and we can get the checks and tribes fabric. And from the solid gray fabric we can get the color, means solid colored single colored dyed fabric, or we can get the printed, means designed fabric in wonderful color. Okay, now how to get this mass coloration from the polymer granule to colored fiber. Basically it is a very simple process. We have we have seen that melt spinning process in previous lecture. On that hopper feeder we can add some kind of colored granules, so that it can mix with the normal granules, and after in the extruder there are heaters, actually heaters are there, so it will melt, and when it will melt and it will mix in the subsequent process. So when this will mix, then the whole lot will be colored, and we after that spinning we will get the colored fiber. There is a we can say as such no special machine is required for this operation, and truly this is not a dyeing process. Dyeing process means we are applying the colored particles to the fabric and in a process, but here we are not applying any process. It is a single process where we can add some kind of colorants. Okay, then come to the dyeing machine. Okay, so now we start the true dyeing process. So in the dyeing process, what kind of machine we required? What are the basic qualities for the dyeing machine should have? That is, first one is that it should have provide sufficient movement for the liquor to penetrate uniformly to the textile material. That means whatever the fiber or the yarn or the fabric we will use, so sufficient movement of the liquor means that liquor contains dyes and auxiliaries which will help the dye particle to enter and to react with the fiber. So for that uniform application is very important. So the liquor should be moved uniformly. Okay, the liquor movement should not be so vigorous. Okay, if it is so vigorous, then the material will be damaged. Okay, the material used for the construction must be stable during the prolonged boiling or with acidic or alkaline solution. Yesterday we have seen that the dyeing application has been done either in acidic condition like polyester means dispersed dye or acid dye, or in alkaline condition like say reactive dyes, VAT dyes for cotton fiber. So the same machine what we will use, that should resistance all this acid and alkaline. We will see that what is the composition of the material used for the making of dyeing machineries. Then the heating arrangement, it is very important, because most of the dyes is applied to the fabric in the high temperature. Maybe sometimes it goes to 130 degree centigrade also. Sometimes some of the dyes we have applied at the temperature of 220 degree centigrade. So that is very high. Okay, the machine should be withstand that amount of heat. There should be provision for addition and concentration checking, because in between we have to add sometimes some chemicals, sometimes dyes. We have to add intermediately. So we have some kind of stock tank and all these things we required. Then all moving parts and attachments should be protected against the corrosive action of steam and acidic fumes, because the heating is mainly done by the application of steam. Okay, now dyeing process. The dyeing is applied to the fabric either or yarn or in fiber in two processes. One is called batch process. Batch process is very simple. Like that, we have a bucket or something, some pot, where we use the colorants, the auxiliaries, and we put the textile material, and we just moving. So it's a very simple type of machine concept, where we the liquor and the dye liquor, that means liquid which contains the colorants and auxiliaries. So these things are react with the textile material for a long time, say half an hour to 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, so the dyes will move with the help of this kinetic in nature. It goes enter inside the textile material, so that is possible. So here what we are getting, so we get very long time to react for the reaction. So the example has been given, like wind, jets, or say jigger. We'll see that one by one. And continuous dyeing. Continuous dyeing, that is done for mainly for fabric itself. So we can see that the yellow color, that is the dye bath. That means there the chemicals and dyes are there. The fabric is coming, enter into the dye bath, and it will stay there for 3-4 seconds only, not more than that, even less. So what happens, the dry cloth is going inside the liquid, and it takes some amount of this liquid, and it is squeezed at the green roller. So here it is squeezed to fix the amount of the liquid which will carry. So that means the dye, the fabric is react with this dye bath for a few seconds. Then it goes away to the subsequent reaction chamber, drying chamber, whatever is there for that process. So the main difference is that here less concentration of the auxiliaries and dyes are there, prolonged time, so that it the auxiliaries can enter inside the fiber. But here we are getting very less time. So very less time. So the reaction time is also very less. So we are applying more concentration here. And the other difference is that how we are calculating the auxiliaries and dyes here on the weight of the material in case of batch process. But in case of continuous process, we fix the concentration of the auxiliaries in terms of water. In the amount of water, how much concentration is there. So that is called a gram per liter, and here we say on the weight of material. Okay, mainly the concentration is high compared to batch process in continuous process. Okay. Material of dyeing machines. So what we have discussed in earlier days, dyeing machines, that means the dyeing vessels, actually they are used of made of wood, and subsequently after that earthen pot are also used, then followed by galvanized iron drums are also used, but they don't have that much of stability against the acid and alkali. So stainless steel material has been used, that that special type of stainless steel that contains 0.15% of carbon chromium is 18%, nickel is 8%, tungsten is 0.5% to 1%. And if it is required acid resistant particularly, so there carbon amount is somehow reduced, but that chromium and nickel is the same, and molybdenum is used 2.5 to 4%. So that means it is a very special type of stainless steel which can withstand acid as well as alkali. Now dyeing of loose fiber. That means what we have seen that previous slide, that we can dye the loose fiber also. Now how to dye the loose fiber? How dyeing technology we have seen yesterday. Now how to apply these dyeing colorants to the fiber. See, there is a pump. The color can change. There is a pump. Okay. So from the pump, the dye liquor is going in this way here. Now this area, this lined area, there is fiber. This area is also have fiber. Now this liquor is going in this direction. Okay, it crossing the fiber. So in this way it goes this side also, this side also, and this side also, like that. So with the pressure, the dye liquor is going from this side to this side, crossing the fibers, and again it comes back in this way to the pump. So it is circulating. And reverse is also possible after sometimes. We can this motor we just reverse it, so that the liquor can come from this side to this side, this side to this side, from outside to inside. So this is called in to out or out to in. The cycle is reversed after certain predetermined time, so that all the fibers present over here can come contact with the dye liquor very easily, and there we require some certain kind of pressure. So the machine has to withstand certain kind of pressure. So this is called Obermeyer cotton dyeing machine. That means this is loose fiber dyeing. There is also long close cotton dyeing machine. Here the difference is not that much. Here we are using cylindrical kind of container. Here we are using conical kind of container. The mechanism is same. Next slide. Eraser. Then this is called fiber dyeing, but we can also dye the toes. Toes means it is a bunch of fibers. That is also possible. So a method of continuous dyeing of gel filaments from the sliver from dry spun by evaporation or wet spun fiber. So yesterday, day before yesterday, we have seen that from the granules we can get fiber either by dry spinning or by wet spinning. So all those fibers can be goes through a solvent where the colorant is there, and it can be dyed in this way also. So after spinning, subsequently we can go for the dyeing process also. So that is called aquagel dyeing. Okay, so that is all about fiber dyeing. Now we are coming to the yarn dyeing. Yarn dyeing we can dye either in hang from. Hang from means it's a lee. All the individual fibers are there. All the individual fibers are yarn is wound in this way. So that is called lee. Here the yarn is wound in a package. Package means it's a solid package like this, and on that package we are winding the yarn like this. So first one is called hang dyeing, where the loose yarns are hanging. Okay, so it the bundles has a specific length, or in the form of package, mainly in the form of cone or cheese. Cone means cone means like this. One side diameter is more, and cheese means both the side of the package diameter is same, like this. Okay, or bobbins means very small amount of yarn is there, so like few grams. But in the in cone or cheese, it may be up to 1 kg or 2 kg package. Okay, so there are different kind of machineries. So how the hank is dyed? Basically, the hank is hanging on a rod. This is the rod. These are the rod, but these have some special attributes. What is that special attribute? Unique features that the hanks are never emerge in the dyeing liquor. So here the dyeing liquor is holding. But what happens by the use of the pump? The dye liquor is spraying. It comes to this. So in this way, the dye liquor is spray on the hang, and the pump is there. So the dye liquor is circulating. In this way, the all the yarns are coming contact with the fresh liquor every time. Okay, so it has been done in a very closed chamber. So the dyeing process is done, and say the dyeing is very uniform in nature. Now coming to the package dyeing. So we have seen that fiber dyeing, then yarn dyeing in loose form or say hang form. Then we are coming to the package dyeing. So because the package is very stable, it is not like hang dyeing. It may sometimes happens that hangs are entangled themselves, but in case of say package dyeing, there is no chances of those things. So it is adequate stable during handling or handling while putting in and taking out from the machine of the machine spindle. Okay, it should withstand the change in temperature of the following liquor and pressure. So we have already said that in case of fiber dyeing, there are some pressure when the liquor is going from outside to inside or inside to outside in that circle. Then all packages must be accommodated in a very small amount of shrinkage in some yarn, and the effect of the fiber swelling when it is wet out. That means the textile material, it's a there is amorphous part and crystalline part. So when it comes contact with the liquor, it will absorb some kind of liquor. So when it will absorb, the diameter of the fiber will increase. As the diameter of the fiber increases, so it will try to shrink. When it will try to shrink, the pressure will be built on the package. So the package has to withstand that amount of pressure or stress. Okay, the wound yarn should not be trapped, otherwise the back winding of the package will be disturbed. Then it should be fairly sufficient resistance to the liquor flow, because there are pressure, so it has to withstand the pressure. If we see from the outside, there is a pump. What we have seen in case of fiber dyeing, loose fiber dyeing, here also circulating pump is there. Then there is a valve, then another pump which send the liquor to the expansion tank. That means it will hold the liquor for some times, then it goes from the top. Okay, and this vessel is very much closed because the dyeing is done around 130 to 135 degrees centigrade temperature. So at that temperature, the pressure inside the vessel is too much. Okay, now on that pressure, this pump has to work. And what happened inside, that we'll see. See, these are the spindle. Okay, here the spindle is there. The spindle is there. Now this is the main pump. Pump is attached here. So when the pump pumps the liquor to this, all these spindle are interconnected from inside. Okay, the liquors, and the top one is closed. So when the liquor comes from this place, it goes outside through the package, through the yarns. Okay, now it all happens for all the package. It runs for some times, then the pump reverse. So what happens then? Because this is closed actually. So liquors are there. So all the outside liquor goes inside. This cylinder is this cylinder kind of things is there. So it goes inside and then comes out of this pump. So for certain times the dye liquor comes out from the package, and sometimes the dye liquor goes inside to the package. So in this way, the uniform dyeing, because the layer of the package is too much, so the dye liquor should reach every place of the yarn, otherwise we will get uneven dyeing. So this type of package is to be fixed in this kind of spindle. That is true for this cheese or cones or tops or loose fiber itself. So for this loose fiber, already we have seen that machines, and this pressure is 20 lb per inch square. So that much of pressure the machine has to withstand. Then after dyeing, we have to dry the yarns or say fabrics or the fibers. For drying purpose, we need to apply huge amount of thermal energy, but it will consume very high energy. So to reduce the consumption of the energy, what we have to do, we have to remove some kind of excess water present in the fiber to outside. So how to extract those? It's a very simple machine where we are using the centrifugal force. With the centrifugal force, it will rotate at a very high speed. So the package will be kept like this way, and it will rotate. at very high speed. So by centrifugal force, the excess amount of water will comes out of the yarn. Sometimes it goes to 50 to 60%, only 50 to 60% on the weight of the material remains on the yarn. So excess amount of water has been removed. Okay, so in this way we can reduce the drying energy of the package. Now how to dry that package? So for that, for drying, what we have to do, we have to use steam or something else to or some hot air to dry the package. But if you see the package is very compact. Now it is not possible to dry this package by the application of heat, because the uniform dyeing will not be there. If we apply more heat, the outer layer will be over dried and inside layer will not be dried. So for that we can use radio frequency dryer, where the application of this radio frequency wave, it will directly work on the water molecule itself. It will not attack the fiber. So the dye molecule will change its pole very high frequency by changing that pole of the water molecule. So it will convert it into it will generate a huge amount of heat. So it will convert it into steam, and that steam will comes out of the fiber. In this way we can get the dried fiber. So we can use different types of sensor inside it, so that it can actually measure whether the yarn has been dried or not. Okay. Next, come to the fabric processing. Now yesterday also we have seen that from the gray fabric to final use of the fabric, there are so many processes. That means what I am talking about, if we see this slide, say we have seen that mass coloration, where we are getting directly the colored fiber. We have seen that from fiber how it is converted into colored fiber. We have seen that yarn, how this yarn is converted into colored yarn. Now from that colored yarn we can get the checks or stripe. Now coming to the fabric, so fabric is gray. Now from that, how we are getting this dyed fabric, means solid dyed fabric or printed fabric. So in between there are too many processes. So this process we are going to see right now. See, it's a gray fabric. From there we are getting the finished fabric. So first is the singeing process. Singeing process, that means removal of the loose fiber on the surface of the fabric. So that is done by burning. So that we'll see. Then desizing. Desizing means yesterday also we have seen that whenever the yarn is converted into fabric, so there is a process called sizing, where some kind of starch kind of material is applied on the fabrics, so that the strength of the fiber strength of the material increases, so that it will not break, or some hairiness is also removed. So we have to again remove that sizing paste. Then scouring. Scouring means we have to remove the waxy material or impurities in the yarn, that has to be removed. Bleaching means we have to get it white, otherwise the light color will not be appeared on the fabric. Then mercerization, it will increase the strength as well as lusters as well as absorbency of the fiber. Then go to the dyeing and printing. Sometimes both dyeing and printing done, sometimes only dyeing, sometimes only printing. Sometimes we are eliminating these two processes, we are getting only finishing. So that time we are getting white cloth. Okay. Then we are going for mechanical finish or chemical finish, or sometimes both finishes. Mechanical finish we are applying for, say, remove the shrinkage or the built-in stress present in the fabric. Chemical finish, we are imparting some kind of specialty kind of things like antimicrobial, stiffness, softness, whatever is required we can apply, or sometimes both mechanical and chemical. Then after that, after final inspection, we fold that fabric and it goes for the garment making. Okay, So there are so many processes are there, and we'll see that what are the process is there. So I think I have explained these things. Then coming to the dyeing part. Okay, so what are the machineries used? So initially when I explained the dyeing process, I said that there are two processes. One is batch process, one is continuous process. Bade sir, hello.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I think it is audible, and I don't know.
Yeah, it is going very nice. Yeah, it is going
Okay,
nice.
so I should continue.
Yeah, appreciate the clarity and simplicity of the presentation. So many good comments are there.
Yes. Okay, sir. I am continuing.
Yeah.
So first thing is that it is a batch process. But in that example, we said that okay, in the bucket you put the fabric or say textile material. But here we are not putting the fabric. So fabric is rolled on a roller. Okay, it goes to the liquor. BB is the dye liquor. So it goes through this roller and wind in another form. Okay, again when it is completed, then it is reverse. It comes to this this roller. So in this way, and it is closed in a closed chamber. So all the liquor is coming contact with the fabric. So it is going this way and this way. Okay. So in this way, the fabric is dyed. This machine is called jigger, or sometimes in the short form it may call jig. Okay. Now in this machine, what we required, the actually precision control of this linear motion, the temperature, the dosing of the chemicals, all these things is required. So in modern machines, so many things are automatic, like in case of jumbo jiggers, we have full automation in drive, tension regulation and control, fabric speed, metering, smooth movement of the fabric. There should not be any jerk or during the starting, because when the see, these are the width of the machine. So that means that amount of fabric roll is there, and it is wet. When it is wet, it sometimes contains more than 200% of the liquor. That means 100 kg of fabric, it will absorb 200 kg of water and it will move. So that heavy things, when it reverse the direction, that there may be some kind of jerk may happen. So that has to be minimized. Then that temperature regulation, all these things has been controlled in case of say modern jigger like jumbo jigger or hydraulic jigger. So everything is closed, so you can increase some kind of temperature or pressure itself. So that is one thing where we have direct tension control on the fabric. But if it is knitted cloth means that what are the, there is only one kind of threads is there. So it may call like t-shirt that is made up of knitted, or sometimes pullover sweaters are there. So those are knitted kind of things. Those are very delicate. If we apply some kind of tension, what will happen? That fabric will be distorted. So what we are using, the fabric is shown to make it endless. Now there is a elliptical. See this. This is elliptical in nature. So whenever it will just rotate, it will take the fabric away. So by almost indirect tension, it will just pull the fabric and coming to this here. Okay, so very slowly it is rotated. Then what happens? The fabric goes inside the dye liquor and coming out of the dye liquor. So we can make it for two different kind of things. This is a shallow one. This is a deep one. Okay. Now actually see how it looks like. See, this is the elliptical kind of things, elliptical pulley. So when it will move, it takes the fabric in this direction. Okay, so here we can see that red color, that die liquors are there. So die liquors will come contact with the fabric, and this loose there is no tension actually. So this loose fabric will move in this direction and comes down with the gravity here. It goes to the again slow. So like this way the fabric is agitating. So that agitation means the uniform application presence of the die liquor to the fabric. So this machine is called winch machine. Then up to this, whatever we have discussed, those machineries called, say, what is called batch process. Now we are coming to the continuous process. Continuous process means the fabric will come from one side. It is coming from one side, and it is goes inside the liquor, and it is coming outside. So this process is called continuous process. What happens? The liquor is coming here, and we are just pressing. We are giving some kind of hydraulic pressure, so that this is fixed. This is fixed means it is rotating, but we are not giving any pressure over here. This is also moving in this direction. This is also moving in this direction, and here we are giving some kind of hydraulic pressure. So there are a lot of advancement done on this hydraulic roller. So many things are there if we go inside that. Now this pressure determine how much liquor will be present over here, because this liquor contains certain kind of certain amount of concentration. Okay, now if we are allowing more amount of liquid to this fabric, then the fabric will contain more amount of chemicals and dyes, so it will become dark. If we apply more pressure, then maximum liquid will be squeezed out, so less amount of liquid will be present here. So there will be very less amount of chemicals and dyes will left for the reaction, so we are getting less amount of color over here. If we see in line diagram, see there are two rollers which will squeeze. So different kind of arrangement we can make to control the amount of liquid will be present. We can give more amount of pressure by applying three rollers, so that more amount of liquid will be squeezed out. Okay, because this padding mangle is used for drying purpose also. Drying purpose means not for drying, actually removing the water, because after washing also we have to dry the fabric. So before drying we are squeezing the fabric, so that the fabric become very dry before going to actual drying. And in this roller there are different kind of technology used to use suction, so that more amount of water should be squeezed out. There are using some kind of other rollers also, special type of roller is used. So many things are there, so that the amount of water left on the fabric become very less, so that it consumes less amount of energy when the fabric is going for actual drying purpose. Okay, so for continuous drying purpose, this padding mangle is very important. What we can see, the one process is called pad, cold batch, and wash. It is used for reactive dye in very dark shade, where we are not using any kind of salt, because yesterday we have seen that whenever we are using this faster process, it will contains 50% of the total consumption of chemicals. It is salt. So by this process, the amount of salt used is 0 for the reactive dye. But what happens, we have to batch this fabric for say 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. So that is a very huge time you have consuming process. So it's called semi-continuous process. It is called cold pad batch process. Now after batching, the fabric is washed. Washing we'll see in details later on. Now the second process is pad and batch. Then after padding, it goes for IR heater. Infrared heater is there. So by this infrared, it is dry. Then it goes to the steaming process. Then it is called hot batch, and then wash. So the same process, but here it is cold batch. It is steam batch, means hot batch. Or otherwise, we can go for padding, then drying, and then washing is done on the jigger machine, what we have seen earlier. So this is called semi-continuous process. Then continuous process. Continuous process is pad, dry, again pad, again steam, again wash. Now this padding and this padding is different. Here we are padding with salt and this colorant, and here we are using alkali, so that this the dye applied on the fabric is dried uniformly. After that we go for the alkali. Alkali means it will react. The reactive dye is reacted with the dye and fabric. It is in the alkaline condition. So after padding, it goes directly to the steaming where the reaction will take place, and then subsequently washing, and then it goes out after drying. Okay, so all these things what we have done seen for say normal temperature dyeing. Now come to the jet dyeing. Jet dyeing is a process where high temperature is maintained and high pressure also. The temperature goes up to 130 degrees centigrade. Now in case of HTHP machine that is used for package dyeing, if you remember, so their package is fixed and the liquor is flowing from one side to another side, means sometimes inside to outside or outside to inside. But in case of fabric, it is not possible, because these fabric are very delicate. Because the polyester fabric, it has a GSM up to 60 to 80 GSM, means gram per square meter. 1 meter of fabric, only 60 grams. So that much of delicate fabric it is used here, and the temperature is very high, 130 degree. So certain things has been modified. So that machine is called jet. Here the jet means the venturi is there where the liquid and the fabric is moving. It is also an endless fabric, and it is in the closed chamber. The pump is there, so liquid goes from one side to another side. The pump is very powerful. The MLR say 1:6 to 1:15, and what does it mean? That means for processing of 1 kg of fabric, you require 6 kg of water, or maximum you get 15 kg of water. But in case of say cold pad batch or all these process, so you require very high amount of water. So here the amount of water is very less. So this is the another way how the pump and the tank is there. So how pump is actually applying the liquid through this. This is the way where the fabric and the liquid is flowing. So the actual contact with the fabric with the liquid will happen uniformly. Okay, so there are some kind of control like heat exchanger is there. Then this is what this entry level relay is used when the fabric is actually loading on the machine. So like that. So this is the actual picture of the machine. So this is the heat exchanger. Heat exchanger I will not discuss in detail because it will be discussed later. The pump is there. So here the feeding dye bath is there, where from where we can feed the dye to the machine, because that this is actually works in very high temperature, 130 degrees. So that is very high temperature. We cannot just open the lid of the machine. So jet dyeing machine we have completed. Now this is a particular cycle of the polyester dyeing, where we add the dye at 50-degree temperature, then raise the temperature up to 130-degree temperature. Then at 130-degree we hold that temperature for 30 minutes. Then within this 30 minutes the dye actually enter. In this case the dye will not react, because this is called dispersed dyeing, and this dispersed dye have no affinity to the fabric. What happens, it just enter inside the fabric or fiber pores itself at high temperature inside liquid condition. Okay, so after that after dyeing, the reduction clear means what are the reduced dye present on the surface of the fabric, that is removed by the application of caustic and sodium hydrosulfide, and then that drain out. All these things happens. So it's a capacity of the machine, how much volume of liquid it is required, what is the pressure, what is the temperature, what is all these things has been discussed. Will not spend much time over here. Now see the water consumption in the textile mill. See the bleaching process. Bleaching process means the whitening process. It consumes most of the amount of water. Then dyeing process, it requires 16%. Printing process 8%. Then boilers 14% for supplying steam. In the spinning, that there is humidification plant, it consumes 6%. Weaving, it also use water jet looms, they are 9%. Then other process it consumes 9%. But see, it is not like that printing is required less amount of water. This is because the amount of printed fabrics supplied to the market, it is very less. That's why it is like that. Okay, so we see actual what happens when we only discuss about the textile wet processing, which process will consume more amount of water. Next. See, conventional bleaching process, it is 90 liter per kg of material. So 90 kg water it consumes. Then continuous bleaching, it is reduced to 70 kg. Then mercerization 25 kg. Dyeing in jigger machine, it is 45 liters. Dyeing in continuous process, it is 35 liter. Yarn dyeing, it is consumed more, 60 kg. And printing, see, printing is 100 kg. It is much more. And finishing, it is 15 kg, because in the after finishing we need not to go for washing. But see what happens. So 1 kg of fabric requires so much amount of water. So we require very much amount of water, but it is not actually a true picture, because all the water what is used for the textile processing, that is reused. So we need not do that much of worry, but somehow we have to worry, because we are still using a much more amount of water, though some of the water is reused. Okay, so we now quickly go through some of the process what we have discussed in this slide, if you remember. Yes. So gray fabric, singeing, desizing, scouring, bleaching, mercerization, dyeing, printing. So all these things we'll quickly go through. Okay. So first one is singeing process, where the short fiber are removed. So if you see that there are flames are there which will burn the protruding fiber present on the fabric surface, and this flame is positioned in this way. This is called tangential, where the flame is parallel to the fabric path, so it will remove the short fiber. It is used for lightweight fabric, or sometimes it is for say man-made fabric. Then this is number 2 position, where the flame goes to the water cooled. This roller is water cooled, and the flame is directly comes to this fabric. So it is for medium weight fabric. And this is the 3rd position, where it is perpendicular to the fabric path, but the flame, see, the flame is coming out of the fabric. So that much amount of intensity of flame is applied on the fabric. So this is called singeing machine. So actually it is inside the closed chamber. See, it is inside the closed chamber. From this window you can see how the flame is actually working. And this machine, we need some kind of control or some kind of speed limitation. Otherwise, if the speed is not that much, the fabric will be burned out. So after attaining a certain speed like 40 meters per minute, then only the flame will activate. Okay, otherwise the flame will not come contact with the fabric. So in this way, the control is given. After this burning, it goes to the some quenching chamber or subsequent process for desizing. So this is made up of Osthoff, Germany. Then coming to the printing process. Printing process means the localized application of the die. For that we need some kind of screen. From the top of the screen, say we apply printing paste. It is slightly thicker than the dyeing solution. It is thicker, so that is called ink. So that ink is passed through this screen. Now screen, what is screen? Screen is blocked and some area is open. Which area is open? From there the ink goes to the fabric and it will stay there. It will not spread out. If we need more color of print, then we need more number of screen. Okay, see in the right side we can see more number of screen are there. This is one screen, this is another screen, this is another screen. So these 3 screen are there, so we can get 3 colored printing fabric. Okay. This is called flatbed, means the screen is flat. Now how the printing paste is passing through this? Now there are blade. So this is printing paste, that is called ink. If by the application of the pressure, where the opening pores are there, the paste is going to the fabric. Now instead of blade, if we put the rod and we make the screen is round shape, then it will call rotary. We can have this rotary screen printing, where multiple heads are there. Say these are the heads. So printing is possible. Then after printing, it is subsequently it goes to the drying. After drying, okay, so that is drying, and here that is called rotary screen printing. This machine is called transfer printing. Transfer printing means we have printed paper where different colors are there, and on the fabric, by the application of pressure and high temperature, the dye will sublimate. That means from solid it becomes vapor. So that vapor will goes to the fabric itself. Whatever we have discussed yesterday, we said that thermosol dyeing. It is kind of thermosol dyeing. It is called transfer printing. So the dye is transferred to the fabric itself. This is the continuous process. This is a batch process. Okay. Then in this way we can have digital printing also. We can have digital printing also, where it is like computer printer, works on CYMK 4 color systems. It is less polluting and all these things, cleaner process, easily we can do. We need not to go for prepare the screen or flat screen. So it is modern process. Okay, then after printing we have to fix the dies. So that is done in the loupeger. Loupeger means nothing. It is a closed chamber where we can raise the temperature and we can apply the steam. Okay. So it's like that. The fabric makes loop. The fabric makes loop. Like this. These are the rod. So fabric makes loop like this. Okay. So fabric make loops like this, where the we can apply pressure, we can apply steam, we can apply temperature, so that the dies what is applied on the fabric locally, that can be fixed. So after that fixation of the die, we have to go for washing. Washing, there are different kind of technology. One technology is called counter washing. Counter washing means that fabric moves. Say this is the black color. Black color fabric is moving in this way. The water is moving opposite direction. So here we are applying fresh water. Then fresh water is come contacts with the clean fabric. Here it is not the clean fabric, but and the water is not also clean, because it is already removing some of the material which is attached with the fabric. So in this way we are cleaning the dirtiest cloth with the dirtiest water. Then as the fabric become clean, the water also getting clean. So finally what we are the cleanest fabric and the cleanest water. In this way we can reduce the amount of water. So this is the washing process. Then after that following we have to dry the fabric. So drying is done on cylinder. Drying is done on the cylinder drying. Cylinder where we are applying steam. The steam by the application of the steam, fabric the cylinder is heated and the fabric is coming to the contact with the fabric. So this way, that way, that means both the side is come contact with the hot cylinder, like cylinder dryer. Then this is a finishing. Stentor I am not discussing, because stentor will be discussed elaborately in subsequent discussion. So this is a calendering machine. Calendering machine, it is used for pressing. It is giving some kind of it is giving some kind of smoothness effect to the fabric. It is kind of ironing actually, and the quality of that ironing depends upon the temperature, pressure, and the surface of the this rollers. So here there are 7 roller conventional 7 roller calendering machine is there. The right side it is a modern 3-layer calendering machine is there. 2 are Teflon coated, 1 is stainless steel. Okay, so these Teflon coated they have much more control inside. That hydraulics are there, with control is there. So so many things are there. Okay, so coming to next, then sanforizing machine. Sanforizing machine, so whatever we have discussed till now, the fabric moves sorry, whatever we are discussing, that the fabric moves with the help of tension, rollers, pulleys. So many things are there. So it will achieving very much amount of trace. Now you have seen that sometimes whenever you purchase some cloths and after first wash, that fabric becomes shrink, so it becomes reduce the size of the fabric, size of the garments. It happens because the fabric after so many process, it wear and tears, it the stress is generated on the fabric. Now if you go for this machine, the mechanism is very simple. See that red color one is the fabric, and it is moving with this very thick rubber roller. Now if you bend the rubber roller, what will happen? The inside diameter will be less and outside diameter will be more. Now here this rubber roller, if you see carefully, this is outside diameter, like this. Outside diameter. The length of the fabric is more here. Now when it comes to this portion, it becomes the inner diameter. So this fabric, it is in extended form, comes become very shrink form. Now we are applying water and steam. Okay, so this fabric become already shrink. So after that, when we will purchase the cloth, it will not shrink anymore. So this is called sanforizing machine. Then coming to the last part, that is called computer color matching. Now if you purchase one cloth, you say that this is red color or blue color. Somebody says we want that red color, but how it is possible to get that red color? Because we don't know how much red you want, how much red some other person want. Now if you see that everybody is seeing this apple, one is saying it is a burning red, another one say, oh, it's a crimson, another one is bright red. So what color you will say that? So you have to think of that. You have to quantify the color. Now how to quantify the color? There are spectrophotometer which incident the light on the material, say textile material, and the reflection it will measure. So what is the energy they are getting? So by that it will convert it into that LAV value. LAV value means L means lightness value, means how much dark or light. A means how much redder or greener, or B means how much bluer, yellower or bluer. By these three actually coordinators there, it will take more time to explain all these things, but by that way only we get the color. And this LAV value we are measuring by the spectrophotometer. See that the fabric is measured in the spectrophotometer. It is connected with the computer. So in the software we can get LAV value. For the other also we can get LAV value. Now if you compare, means you make the color difference by del L, del A, del B square root, then we will get the color difference. If this value is less than 1, then the color is almost similar, but if it is more than 1, then the color is not similar. So you can say that there is a difference in the color. By this way you can quality control the fabric. And another one, you can measure the recipe. How to measure the recipe? That means suppose you have given this fabric, you have to make same color. So what are the color and how much amount of color you will use? So in that time, by the application of Kubelka-Monk function and this spectrophotometer, first you have to feed the reflectance value of the primary. Primary means all the primary colors, whatever the color available with you. Then you can scan the sample or standard. You have to scan the standard. Then by the this formula, the computer will give you the recipe. Accordingly, we can dye and you can get the same fabric. Okay, so coming to the conclusion part, we have discussed different machineries used for textile wet processing, and deliberately I have not discussed about the stentor, which is main part, then boiler, sorry, it is boiler and heat exchanger. All these things will be subsequently discussed in next lecture. By this saying, I can conclude. I think time is also coming to end now. Over to Professor Bade. If you have any questions or doubts, you can ask.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful lecture. You have covered the machines, whatever is used in the dyeing and printing. It is a laborious part, but still wonderfully in a short span of time, you are able to complete it and give the glimpses to our participant. People are appreciating your lecture. I think I'm not seeing any question as such till now, so maybe. Okay, there are questions. Few questions are there. Is there effect of dent mark on the roller on the fabric quality in calendaring machine? This is the Anil Patil is asking.
Yes, there is there. Whatever we are using this padding mangle. So padding mangle should be very smooth. If there is something is there in that padding mangle, it will mark, because in padding mangle what happens, it will determine the amount of liquid to be present after squeezing. Now if the liquid is just deviate from the actual amount, then the liquid deviate means the amount of color and chemicals also deviate, so it will give you certainly give you the marks, obviously.
Okay, in subsequently the second question, what Anil Patil is saying is, in singing machine, water cooled rollers are plated or not? Also,
yes, in singing machine there it is there.
Yeah.
So there
also,
are three
positions. Next question is also due to sludging problem of water causing improper water circulation. So it may cause any effect on the fabric.
In case of singeing machines,
Yeah.
question is, see, singeing machine, what happens, if you see that three position, first one is that it is parallel, there no no cooling water is required, and for that is for light fabric, and the heavy fabric, the flame passes through the fabric. So only that second position where medium quality of fabric is used, say there. Okay, now the water is required, or you have to control, very carefully control this flame intensity, flame height, everything. Okay, so
yeah.
So that is required, because it is controlling the temperature at the other side. If it is very high, the water is not properly circulated, so the temperature will increase and the flame is there, so it will burn out the fabric. So you have to carefully control the
okay, might be these are all automatic control systems also.
Yes, everything is automatic control. Yeah. Because if the the speed is not there, say I said that 40 meter per minute speed is not there, this it is actually rotating like this way. The flame is in this position like this. This is the flame. Okay, now when the speed goes up, suppose it is moving in this direction, when the speed is up, this will actually means it becomes parallel to the means vertical to the fabric. Yeah. Otherwise the flame will not come contact with the fabric. So the temperature also in this way, there may be some sensor, so which will not allow this flame to come contact with the
fabric. And okay, very good, sir. I think that question is addressed properly. And Naresh Kumar is saying, is there any new development in water-free dye? Water-free dye.
Water-free, yes. Those are the things will be discussed in the next lecture, like supercritical dyeing, all these things. So it is,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is
like
there,
dyeing
plasma
with
processing.
supercritical CO2 and what. Okay,
Yes,
Naresh, you
yes.
have to just wait for a few minutes and you will get the answer for your question. Prerna Rai is saying that what is the difference in quality when it comes to hand printing, automatic and semi-automatic printing?
Okay, so see, automatic means you can go for higher speed. Hand printing means it is not very high speed, and in case of automatic, obviously quality is high because the manual interference is very less. Everything is done by machine. Machine means it is repetition of the work. Hand means
Okay.
so
Sir, from
those are the things are there.
pollution point of view,
Pollution point of view, digital printing will be the best one because it is very less amount of chemicals and all these things are used.
yeah,
So
automatic. Yeah.
automatic, and that digital printing is
Okay.
almost, it is like computer printing, almost.
Oh.
Almost computer printing. So some kind of coating is required initially, then after that, but printing process is very clean, environment friendly. No need to use those kind of all this ink, and it will just stay on the floor or somewhere, screen, all these things. It is, everything has been removed. Only like inkjet printer, whatever we are using in the computer inkjet printer, it is in a bigger form.
Yeah, yeah, yes. And highest pollution is going to be in hand printing.
Hand printing, not that much, because it is amount is very less. See, the production of hand printing is how much? It's very less.
Okay.
Okay, so one need not to be very much bothered about that because they are producing very less. The share is also, market share is also very less.
Okay,
So
because
one
of
can ignore
amount is
that.
less, so pollution is less. Otherwise, if amount is increasing, pollution.
Yes. Obviously.
Yeah. So I think most of the questions of the participants we have taken up. There are very good remarks from the participant. They are appreciating your lectures. I request Mr. Parikh sir to give a concluding remark about this lecture. Parikh sir, please.
Yeah, it was a very nice presentation by Dr. Maiti, because in very short time he has covered all the machine processing machines, right from the, say, loose fiber dyeing to yarn dyeing and then fabric dyeing, and he has covered almost all parameters, water requirement and energy requirement, and all these things are there. I think this will make a very good base for my upcoming lecture on 2 o'clock, that is on green technology in textile processing. So it's a very nice lecture, and I thank Dr. Maiti for a very nice presentation.
Thank you, sir, for
Sir, before ending it, I got a simple, a curious question. You are talking about a gray fabric. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Fiber, fabric, thread, yarn. In that, there is something jumbling if we are not connected with textile. So, can you little bit say something about
yes,
it?
sir. Just for that, what I have one slide, that master slide, where I spend, I think, more than 4 or 5 minutes. If you can, this one.
Okay.
See, is it visible?
Yeah, absolutely.
So these are the polymers, left side corner. Okay. These are the polymer granules, from where we are getting the colored fiber. If we are using this master batch, it is clear. Now if we are using normal polymer, we will get the fiber like this. Okay, now these are the fibers. When the fibers is twisted, making it parallel, and it is twisted, it becomes yarns like this. Okay, so these are also called yarn. Now when the yarn is woven, means there are two things. One is called transverse and parallel. These yarns are there. It is colored yarn, so this is a colored fabric, checks fabrics. Otherwise, we will get gray fabric. Gray fabric means that is not gray in color, because that is unwashed. It is actually raw fabric. Okay. Now the color of the raw fabric, some kind of gray, so that's why, or yellowish, it is called gray fabric. It is actually unwashed, untouched fabric. It is very raw fabric, so that is called gray fabric. Now gray fabric is covering, bleaching. First one is singeing. Singeing means on the top of there are some
Can I add something?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, you can add, sir.
Actually, gray fabric is nothing but it is fabric obtained from weaving shade. So when you get fabric from weaving shade, it is called gray because it is not white actually, and therefore it is called gray fabric. So it is not white. Why? Because it contains impurities. So these impurities you have to remove to make it white, or to make it more easily dyeable or printable. So that is why gray fabric is nothing but it's a fabric obtained from weaving shade using white yarn. Now, if you dye a yarn at yarn stage, if you dye, then you have choice to use warp and weft with different colors and get stripes or checks, which is very important for shirting. So in that case, even in that case, it is called gray fabric because it is obtained from weaving shade. And because why it is containing impurities? Because there are a lot of natural impurities of the fiber as well as some added impurities which are being added at the winding or texturizing or twisting stage. So these impurities has to be removed in order to make fabric absorbent and dyeable and printable. So gray fabric is nothing but it's a fabric obtained from weaving shade.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for the clarity. And we can end the session over here. I think because of the network problem, Dr. Maiti is not there, but still we thanks Dr. Maiti once again. And also, Mr. Parikh sir, thank you very much for your completing remark. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we can please join at 10:50. And Mr. Bele, who is from Vespian, it's an industry well known for the spinning and fabric from there. So he's having a rich experience in India as well as abroad. Try to get the benefit from him as much as possible and be connected with this. Thank you once again. Thank you, sir. We can end the session. Dr. Kalankar, if you are there and if you wanted to say something, please.
No, it is okay, sir. Already now it is 10:40, so we can end this session.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we can end the session. Please join the session at 10:50 within 10 minutes break. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you to all.
Yeah, thank you.